What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. I'm joined once again with my good friend, Mr. John Carney. And today, we're going to talk cigars, we're going to talk sports, the return of NASCAR, what's going on in the cigar world, a little bit of news today. John, how you doing?
Doing good, brother. How you been?
Just peachy, plugging along. But until a few minutes ago, we might have a new housemate up here in the carriage house on the tobacco compound.
So yeah, I was having a few delays getting some technology started per usual, and then I jumped on with you, and you guys were in the middle of like a Category 5 crisis up in the compound.
I guess you could call it a routine rat or a mouse hunt, something. The whole edge of my window here, I know I have my background blurred, but this white trim, all chewed by something. It's pretty bad too. Something was gnawing on it for a while, and I saw it right away, and I was like, "There's no way." And then I saw the little droppings on the ground, and I said, "Uh-oh, we have a new friend up here." So I had to call him.
Adjustments to the studio had to be made for sure.
Yeah, we had to make sure that no animals were harmed during the production of this show. I cannot guarantee that they won't be when the show is over, but that's neither here nor there. Tonight I'm smoking the Arturo Fuente Royal Salute. I love the cigar. It's a nice long cigar. Got some body to it. John, what are you smoking over there?
I got two cigars here. I know you and I have gone back and forth a little bit this afternoon while we were smoking. We changed it up. You changed yours up and I changed mine up. But I've got two. First, my second cigar of the evening. So not really first. My second cigar is going to be the LFD Double Press. Ecuador Habano wrapper, Dominican binder and filler, box pressed. 52 54 ring gauge, so a true Toro. Awesome cigar. It was a test blend for the Airbender cigar back in the day, our Airbender line. But my first cigar, which is my second favorite brand of cigars, going to be a Padron. So I've got a Padron 1926 Maduro, and this is the TAA version of it. It's the number 48. It's one of my favorite cigars in the world. And I'm going to light that up today. A friend of mine, Reagan Starner from R&R Cigars in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, sent me up a couple boxes of these because he knows these are my favorite smokes. And I hadn't had one for a while. So, yeah, I'm going to light that up today. Looking really forward to it. And so that should be awesome. Which Fuente did you say you had?
The Royal Salute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think it's about 6 inches. It's Churchill. Gran Reserva. I've been going long cigars lately. For everyone who's followed me on Smokin Tabacco, I'm sure you saw that. I showcased my new collection, a new item to my collection, the LFD Ligero A, which I know John knows all about, or at least I would hope so. In my video, I told my followers and viewers that even though it's an extremely limited run that your company does, I was hoping that maybe they'd do it again. Is that something you guys would do again? I know you've done it a few times with the A. Maybe a different blend, but...
So the A we've done 3 times. The one you have is from our Ligero line, which is the first time that we had an A from that line of cigars. We used a little higher priming wrapper, so it's a little bit more thickness to it than what's on our traditional Ligero line. It's a sun-grown wrapper, which is thick in general, so it's going to have a little bit more thickness to it, but it was some of the select leaves from, you have the Ligero, which is the top, the Viso, which is the middle of the plant, the Seco, which is the bottom. It's from the higher portion of the Viso, so it's not quite Ligero, but it was a higher portion of the Viso with some select leaves from that, so it's got a really nice, really appealing visual, texture to it. But it still tends to be a little fuller body. But as of now, there's no plans for any more A's. That one was we've released that one during the summer, the last two summers, so from 2018 and 2019. So we'll probably take a step back now with the current environment that we're in, and hold off on that. So it will probably be a little bit more time until there's an A left. But yeah, great smoke. 9 by
But you would,
48, which is fantastic size. It's a lot of smoke. I like Churchills. Churchills are 48 ring gauge, and that A's a 48. It's just really it's a 2 inch longer, essentially a 2 inch longer Churchill. So yeah, really cool size and really great opportunity for tobaccos to perform in that size and Vitola. So yeah, I enjoy the A's myself.
but you're not
Honestly,
gonna rule
I
out.
like A's, and I'm not going to rule it out, but no, I like A's personally. Like in most blends, it's just an intriguing shape. Like Padron's got a nice A. Um, my friend Danny and his daughter Ariel from La Serena Cigars haven't had an A back in the day that was excellent. Fuente has A's that I've enjoyed. Don Pepin with my father has A's. Pete Johnson Tatuaje. Um, I can continue to go on with different A's. So for me, there's always some nostalgia with it. So I really enjoy smoking them.
Yeah, it's a fun smoke. And as I said in my video, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I'm sure you're guilty of this too. Well, one of the things about when you're smoking an A is, sometimes you pull it out when people are around because it's kind of a showstopper. People see like, what the hell is that? Like, what are you smoking? And then you're like, oh, this is nothing.
I like the verbiage you use there. Sometimes you're sitting around, you just pull it out. In reality, it's what it is. It's big, and everyone's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I mean, whenever you have a cigar that's 9 inches long, and you pull that sucker out, I mean, you're there to show off. I mean, you're showing what you got.
Yeah, I mean, you don't pull out a small little Robusto to show off. You pull out the long one that everyone's going to ask you about. But they are fun, and it's a commitment. If you're going to smoke it, make sure you have some time. That's not a 1 hour smoke. It's not. A lot of times, they're not even 2 hour smokes. It could be three hours, 10 minutes, slightly under three. It's usually for me, it's around 3 hours. It's a
Did
long
you
smoke.
did you smoke one of the A's this week yet?
Not yet, not
So you haven't
those.
broken into it. See, you have immensely more self control than I will ever have. So I'm at my parents' house here during the quarantine. So I had my mail transferred up here, so I can get my mail up here. So my package was coming in. It was shipped directly up to this address from my friend Reagan, and I've been waiting because it was U.S. Postal Service, and obviously there's some delays and whatnot. Um, so my mother, I wake up in the morning, I sit on my computer. I wake up about 7 o'clock, and I sit on my computer for like 3 or 4 hours doing work, emails, and caught up on numbers, and things like that, and catching up on the day. And so I'm there till like about 11 o'clock. So I'll go down and get breakfast or whatever. So my mother came down today because they were headed down south for a doctor's appointment. And my mother was like, right before she left, she goes, "Hey, by the way," she goes, "your package from the postal service is here." And I was like, "Yes!" I was super excited because I knew it was something I was waiting on and looking forward to trying and smoking. And so I came immediately downstairs, and within 5 minutes of being down in my kitchen area, I mean, I had the cigar open, the box open, the cigar open, cut, boom, ready to go. Like I would have already smoked 2 or 3 A's by now. I just because I have no self control when it comes to that stuff. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, my collection has continued to grow versus shrink because I get stuff and I have too much self control over it. I don't smoke them as fast as maybe I should. So I get new stuff. I'm like, yeah, and then it just kind of keeps building up, but they're not being smoked fast enough to make room for new stuff. So I'm running into that problem now. And I have a box of the Oro Oscuro from Opus X Arturo Fuente coming, and I'm like, and for those of you who don't know it, I mean, it's a good sized box. It's a 15 count box, the big yellow box, the Opus X box. You might have seen it before. It's a good sized box. I'm looking at my cabinet upstairs, and I'm like, where's this gonna go? I'm starting to fill it up.
So what did you smoke for cigars this week that kind of stood out to you? I know we still got Memorial Day weekend. We'll get into that and whatnot, but what have you had so far this week that's kind of stood out to you? What did you guys have on the ash holes this week?
This week we did the new Cameroon from JRE from the Aladino line.
Dude,
Um,
is that the first time you smoked it?
it was,
All right, it just came out, right?
yeah,
All right, I smoked it about 3 months ago
okay.
before it was out. A good friend of mine, Jeff Griner from out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, from a cigar shop called Classic Cigars, downtown Tulsa, Classic Cigar and Cigar Bar. Um, I was talking about Cameroon, and he and I went to dinner. He's like, "I
Hmm.
got something when you come back." So we come back and he gives me the JRE Cameroon. I'm like, I didn't even know this exists. He's like, it doesn't yet. He goes, it's about to be out. So I was like, awesome. So I smoked it. I'm a big Cameroon fan. So it was delicious. Really good smokes. That's awesome. What did you what size did you all have?
We did the Lonsdale.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, did the Lonsdale, and myself and Ed Sullivan gave it an 89. I think Aaron went 90.
Really?
Good smoke. I'm not. I know Ed's not huge on Cameroon. Most of the time, I'm not a fan of Cameroon myself. Um, it wasn't bad. It was a good smoke. It burned well. Had a great construction. It had a full enough flavor. But I don't know. I just couldn't really get it over 90. But it was still a good cigar.
You know, the one thing that we should do on here, and our time eventually, I won't be able to be on as often, and you'll be on your own. But I think one thing we ought to do is like I think I ought to critique your performance on the ash holes each week and provide like
Okay.
positive feedback. I didn't
Some
get to watch the episode this week, obviously, but I think next week I will. I'll make sure I watch and I can critique your performance and I can critique the others' performances as well. I mean, I said, by the way, what I'll do is, if you think this is cool, some people might not like it. That's fine. I'll give you all an actual rating. So like people that rate cigars, they give ratings. So like I want to rate the raters. So like I'm gonna rate you guys based off of how I think you performed on the show and like how you rated the cigar and how you smoked it and like your performance. So I think I'm gonna create. We'll try it next week and test it. So I'll give you guys a rating. So next Thursday I'll rate your ash holes and I'll give you all an individual rating.
So someone who is usually on the other end of dealing with people who critique and the media and all of that in the cigar industry. Now you want to critique the critiquers. Is this kind of you scratching your itch against certain people that
No,
kind
not
of gets?
necessarily. Not necessarily. It doesn't bother me
I'm
because like I get critiqued daily. Anything I say, I get critiqued. I'm sure there was critiques for me being on the Cigar Authority over the weekend. I'm sure maybe, some people might have hated it, some might have liked it. That's fine. They're never going to make everybody happy,
I
and
was
that's fine. The goal is just to try to make more, majority of people happy. So if people are upset, that's fine. So yeah, I mean, no, maybe there's a little bit of reality that maybe I'm trying to get back at people a little bit. Maybe I just in this quarantine, I'm at a stage where I want to start giving back to those that give. So I think we'll test it next week and see how it goes. So next week on Smoking Tobacco Live, John Carney will be rating the Raiders. Will be one of our segments, and we will break down. I will break down how I feel the performance is gone on Tuesday. So tune in for that. So you guys
well,
smoked that. What else did you have this week?
I smoked Placencia Almo del Campo last night. I had a Fuente um, double chateau last night. I had what else did I smoke this week? I had a Julius Caesar Toro. Love them. I smoked like 5 of those in like the last week. I don't know what it is. I'm like, oh, I like forgot how good they were, and I just
It's
started
good
smoking
smoke.
them, and I was like,
Good
ooh,
smoke. Real
more. Give me another.
traditional sizes too.
Yeah. I I like the Toro. The Perfecto, I think we did on the ash holes around the holidays. I think it was actually the Christmas episode this past season. Uh, that one was a good one too. I think it's actually like a double Perfecto. This one I had a couple of already. I had one on Saturday when I saw you, and I had to get a couple more. The Atabey, the Lancero. I always forget the name. The Spiritus Lancero from Atabey. Great cigar. I think you reminded me of it, and then I was in and I said I got to get a couple of those, so I did. They were
Yeah,
fantastic.
we were having a discussion about how some of the people on the panels, like their palates had changed over the last year and whatnot, and different cigars they were smoking. And so we touched upon that Atabey Lancero, and I mentioned that I'd smoked down at Cigars on the Avenue in Winter Park, Florida, down there when that first came out. So yeah, it's really nice, smooth cigars. It's one of the few cigars for me that I could relatively easily retrohale through my nose, which I don't do very well because I have sinuses.
Right.
But that's real mild, but it's still got a lot of flavor to it. So, I enjoyed that cigar. I haven't smoked the that Alma de Campo. I haven't smoked that Plasencia. The only one of that I've had the Alma Fuerte, and I had the this one other one. I think it's the one with the black band and gold. That might be the Alma Fuerte. But but no, I didn't. I smoked this week.
Yeah, that is the Alma Fuerte.
Yeah, I smoked. I
I had
smoked
one.
a couple TAA 50ths this week. That was on my repertoire, and I've been smoking a lot of our little El Carajones, which is these essentially like a petite Corona. So that's really what I've been smoking this week. I've really only had, this is probably only my sixth cigar this week. I haven't really smoked a ton. I did some gardening earlier in the week, but what are you sipping on?
Just water at the moment. I was gonna get a drink, but I had to make dinner kind of late, and I kind of scrambled to get up here, and I wasn't really thinking. But I did whiskey last night. I did whiskey the night before. I was doing some Buffalo Trace. Did a little bit of Weller 107, and then I was last night, the night before, I was doing Stag Junior. 2 bottles of Stag Junior, and I was I know it's tough, but I was just feeling it. I was feeling it. So I had the stronger stuff out. Might do tequila tonight. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be a nice day. I think I want to sit outside, kind of enjoy, have some margaritas. Get tropical.
Yeah,
I
man,
always
the weather pattern up here is on fire. I mean, we had 80 degrees today. We got mid 80s coming tomorrow. We finally got the swimming pool open in the back. If anyone that's been watching this has noticed, I've got a short sleeve shirt on tonight. Um, it's been freezing for the last several weeks, but it's how it does up here in New England. It's like it's cold, it's chilly, and you slowly work your way into it, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's just hot. So like I installed my air conditioner in my room this evening, right before the show. I've got a fire going out here just to keep the bugs away, and it's like a different world right now, man. It's summertime, so it's a great time to smoke. And I said I'll probably up my smoking now that it's a little bit nicer out, because after you have a few glasses of wine or a few drinks and a couple cigars, it's always nice to have a nightcap. I've been doing that the last few nights. I've been going outside at like midnight. I've been laying in bed for a bit, and I'll go downstairs and I jump outside and have a quick little cigar just before I go to sleep. So it's been a nice little nightcap with the weather improvement.
I did my first fire in my fire pit last night. I have a fairly good size, stone fire pit that we built. And my first one of the season last night, I roasted a few cigars and watched NASCAR. Excited for that one. I'm a huge NASCAR fan myself. So summertime Sundays, I'm sitting outside, I'm smoking, I'm watching NASCAR. I have a fire going, got some booze going.
So
No beer to share.
yeah, so I was a NASCAR fan growing up. I used to watch it a lot because it was really relaxing on Sundays, and we'd come back home from church and we'd eat, and I'd sit and when it was warm out and watch NASCAR, just relaxing and watch cars go around, the noises and whatnot. But NASCAR's back, and I think
NASCAR's good.
yeah, it's real good. And I read a piece. My mother got really into it. She's like, I haven't watched any live sports, and she's like, let's watch this NASCAR race. And she knows nothing about it, which was great. But I taught her stuff because it's relatively easy to learn. Like you can jump into it and
Yeah.
understand what the flags mean when there's cautions, the restarts, the different stages, and what's legal and not. So she's like, let's watch this race. She's like, I haven't watched it. So she didn't realize that it was like 400 miles.
Oh, yeah.
The specific race. I was like, yeah, Mom. I'm like, this is 400 miles, and this is like a mile and a quarter track or a little bit over. I was like, so you're gonna watch them go around this thing like 300 and something times. And so we were watching. We got really into it. It was a great race. The first one that was on Sunday, and they're in Darlington, South Carolina, and then they're in Darlington again last night, and I think they're in Darlington again on Friday.
No. I think the next Cup Series race is going to be Sunday. They're going to Charlotte for the Coke 600, which is a big race.
But there's an Infinity Series race either tonight or tomorrow in Darlington.
Today they race the Xfinity Series.
Okay.
So yeah, there might be an Xfinity on Friday, and then Sunday will be the Coca-Cola 600, which is the longest race of the year.
Yep.
That's going to be a good one. But let's go and talk about last night's race for a minute, because I missed a lot of the first half, but I was in there in the second half. So I'm going to say this right from the beginning. I am a Kyle Busch fan. I am not ashamed of that. I think Kyle is one of the best drivers out there, if not the best, of active drivers. Kyle Busch plays to win. He doesn't mess around. I do like Kurt, his brother, as an alternative. I do like Kurt Busch. I also like Martin Truex Jr., and I've learned to like Denny Hamlin. The Team Penske guys, no way. Logano and Keselowski, no way. I don't like those guys. But anyway, so that's where I stand. So obviously there's a little bit of controversy right now over what's going on with Kyle Busch. Now, for those people, and I just have to say this, John, there are people out there who watch NASCAR who don't understand what racing is. And people get all bent out of shit because Kyle Busch tapped the number 9 to Chase Elliott, put him into a spin, wrecked him out of the race at the end, and Kyle and Denny, 2 Joe Gibbs cars, they'd ride off in the sunset and get 1-2. And a lot of people all about like, well, Kyle Busch and blah, 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 and it's like, let me remind you of Robert Duvall's famous words from the movie Days of Thunder. He didn't bump you, he didn't slam you, he didn't nudge you, he rubbed you. And rubbing, son, is racing. That is part of the game. That's it. It's part of the race.
So
people
the race didn't the race. So I watched about 2/3 of the race, and I started going back up to bed, and then I jumped online shortly after, right after the accident happened. And by the way, it seems like Chase isn't going to be eating peanut M&Ms anytime soon. That's I guess you can get back at him by not eating M&Ms. But I'm a Kyle Busch fan too. I'm partial to Kevin Harvick. Back in the day, I mean, he took over for Dale Earnhardt. And he's been racing for over for 20 years. So I always was a big fan of Kevin Harvick because of that. And I thought the best thing about the race last night was one that Jimmy Johnson didn't wreck in the first stage. So you had like the Tom Brady of NASCAR actually in the race in his final season. Like anytime he's in the race is going to be something fun for the sport. So it was nice that he didn't wreck in the first stage like he did over the weekend. But the Kyle Busch situation, I had mentioned to you on social media, on Facebook, I was like, if that happened at the beginning in the first stage or the second stage, it would never have been a story at all.
No,
Like there's so many other situations that happened that were like that. Like, I don't know, if you watched on Sunday, Keselowski's car, it was, by the way, for whatever reason, they had like vinyl freaking advertisements on the side of the concrete walls. So like the vinyl advertisements were flying all over the racetrack, getting inside of the air intakes. It was ridiculous. Keselowski's car got the vinyl advertisement got stuck on his air intake. And what he did to get rid of it was he slowed down and let someone pass him, and then he rode the guy's ass. It not only rode it, physically ran into the back of the other guy to get rid of it. Now, the guy didn't wreck. It was a different kind of move. Kyle Busch said he misjudged and whatnot. But that could have been just as bad of a situation. And in that situation, it was like, oh, how smart of Keselowski. Blah, blah, blah. What if the guy that he was drafting off from and then just rode up his rear end on got an accident? Is it then a smart move then? So Kyle Busch does it because it's fun to hate him. And he comes back in and maybe misjudges it a little bit. By the way, they're going 170 miles an hour at that point. I believe it was on that third turn where that's like the fastest part of the racetrack. So you're coming out of that turn going mid 160s to that straightaway. So it happened right there, and he just slowly was trying to come back in, and it happens. But people are riding all over him. I get it. The race is close to over, and I think the race ended under caution too.
Because of rain, yeah.
Yeah, because of rain. So it was over. So it was like at that point the race was over. I mean, it was done. Kyle Busch finished second, and that's what it was. So I get that the Chase is upset about it, and I understand it. Like, that's frustrating because you've gone that far and it happens. But like, it's racing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was 11 cautions in last night's race. Like, there was 11 situations, and not all of those 11 were people causing accidents or anything, but over half of them were situations of people racing aggressively. And there's no issues with that. Too,
I'm a firm believer in the fact that because it was Kyle, people get butthurt because people get butthurt over Kyle all the time. And I think it was the race. What track? Was it Bristol? or was it Sonoma? It was one track. I think it was either last year. It might have been 2018. He was driving the Skittles car that day, and he won. And he gets out of the car, and people don't know Kyle Busch. He gets out of the car. He goes, he gets the flag. He does the bow. Well, Kyle had gotten out of the car, and he took the helmet off. He went and got the flag, and he saw the camera crew, and he did one of these because that was his way of saying, like, oh, everyone cries, oh, Kyle Busch. And yeah, I just won, so, go screw yourself. You know, I get it, though. He's got a point. People rag on him. Look, he's a good driver. He's won a lot of races. He's got over 200 victories. He's a two-timer. After Jimmy Johnson retires this year, he's going to be the only guy out in the field who has multiple Cup wins, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So, he's going to be the new, the big cat when
how many
Johnson's
Cup wins
gone.
how many Cup wins does Harvick have? Just one?
Oh, that's true. That's true. How many does Harvick have?
Yeah, look that up.
Forgot-
I know he has at least one. I think he might have won in 2014. Two, I think that was the most recent. So I'd be surprised if he hadn't won any other than that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. You flip the people off, you do this, but I mean, it's racing, man. Like, I see worse things on the road, like without racing. So people say, oh, he did this, he did that. Like, I mean, come on, like, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah, no,
And
Harvick
by the
only.
way, there are rules. Like, there are rules, and NASCAR, their judging didn't see that there was anything wrong with that. They didn't say they didn't penalize him. And whether you said they should or shouldn't, they have officials and rules for a reason, and whether you like them or not, that's a different story. But they didn't judge that anything happened wrong, and they didn't penalize him. So hey, he finished second.
Yeah, I mean, he handled it pretty good. I mean, I've seen a lot of Kyle's interviews after the race, and he just said, look, I made a mistake. I misjudged the gap. Yeah, guys are racing aggressive. It's the end of the race. They knew the rain was coming in. These guys are trying to go at it because they're like, this could be the race right here, not when the checkered flag comes out because we might not see a checkered flag. Look at these guys. They've been sitting at home in simulators for the last 2 months, and these guys are competitors. They're itching to be in those cars racing. This is only their race back. They're going to be a little bit pent up. They're really going to want to go at it. It's understandable. I mean, they were really aggressive. They want to get back out. They want to race. They're going to go hard. They want to win races. I get it, and that's part of racing. That's part of all sports. You compete. It's not it's at the end of the day, you kind of have that mentality like, well, it's really no hard feelings, but we're here to win. I mean, everyone's out there to win. So, unfortunately, things like that happen. It's part of racing. Sorry, Chase. You get another shot at it this weekend. It's the Coke 600.
Did
It's
you
the best I can.
did you find out? I know you just looked at Harvick there. What years did you win?
He won the Cup in 2014. It's the only Cup he
And
has.
that's it, just one time. Interesting.
Yeah.
What's Jimmy Johnson won? Like 87?
Jimmy Johnson has 7 Cups.
Yeah, it's wild. How many did Jeff Gordon have?
Jeff Gordon had 5.
Really?
Actually, Gordon might actually only have 4. Let me check.
By the way, people always ragged and hated on Jeff Gordon too, just because he was excellent. But he's fantastic in the booth, man. He's really good to listen to. He's got some great insight, and that announcer crew, the two of them do great together. So I really have enjoy that. He had 4.
Is 4.
Yeah. So yeah, going back to Sunday's race, that was a great race. I thought that was better than Wednesday. Harvick had a great race. It was too bad. We kind of talked about this. Your mom says that Jeff talks too much. He's the co-host. There's only 2 people talking. Who else is supposed to talk?
Hold on. I gotta let my voice be heard here because I'm gonna have to disagree with you. And a lot of times, sometimes there's actually 3 voices. Sometimes you get there's another guy up there, and sometimes Jeff is just ignoring the shit out of me. I'm just gonna say it. He annoys the shit out of me. And sometimes he's like little too Mr. like obvious. Like he just says stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I know shit, Jeff Gordon. Like I don't care. Like we know, we can see. I don't know. He just bothers me. But then again, I was a Earnhardt fan, so
nah, man. He's good for the sport, and he's got 4 cups. He can talk and be as annoying as he wants. He can talk and be as annoying as he wants. It's fine. It's like, hey, if you want to talk about real annoying, like Booger McFarland was annoying on Monday Night Football. Jeff Gordon's not like at that level. He's good. So I
Yeah,
enjoy it. It's a
not the
great, and
worst.
he definitely knows he definitely knows the history of racing, and a lot of them do, but I mean he's part of the history. So you have a living history book who's in it at the same time, which is really a nice dynamic in my opinion. If you just look at the pomp and circumstance um, around the sport. But the Sunday's race was incredible.
You
Um,
know who I do like up in the booth is when it's on NBC is they got Junior up there.
yeah, he's
Junior,
good. Yeah,
I love
you
Junior.
you remember Darrell Waltrip used to be on there too? And
Yeah, he's
Waltrip was
good.
awesome, man. That was when I was
Uh,
so when I was growing up. Waltrip was always on there, and like when I was in like middle school and high school, and he was really good. And he had a great way of talking. Like it was just he had that southern accent, and it was just awesome. You were
yeah,
ready to start your engines. But anyway, Harvick had a great race. I think the fastest race car in that whole in that entire race was Jimmy Johnson, but he got loose when he was about to run away with the whole thing, and
yeah.
that car was faster than everybody else's. It was noticeable, and that accident he had was like a stupid mistake. He'd love to have had it back. I'm sure he could have completely controlled it. He ended up wrecking on lap traffic on the last lap of the first stage.
My mom likes Jimmy Johnson. I remember during the Daytona 500, they were showing all the drivers and stuff, and she was kind of going through and she was picking all the fire suits that she liked, and she was like, "Oh, I like this one." And she didn't like Denny. She's like, "Oh, the FedEx one, I don't like that one." She saw Jimmy Johnson. She's like, "I like his fire suit, and he's a handsome guy."
By the way, it's hard to not like Bauer. Bauer's awesome, man. He just seems to have fun out there more than anyone else, and he's borderline comedian. He's sarcastic with everybody, but in a real like clever, nice way. I enjoy watching him too. But that race on Sunday was really exciting. I said there was trash, literally trash all over the freaking racetrack from the sides, from the advertisements. They didn't do any time trials essentially. So like there was the first time they were all driving out there. Um, the cars were super loose, so there was phantom cautions. Like same thing on Wednesday. So there's just a lot of excitement on Sunday, just because it was really different than any other race. 'Cause nobody been on that track. All they done is the virtual stuff. So I mean, it was kind of like a crapshoot, man. On
Yeah,
Sunday, it was just like
it was
you never knew what
weird.
was going to go on.
No qualifying, no practice. It's like, all right, we're just gonna get in the car and go, and just we're gonna have to do it as we go. I mean, last night, when I watch NASCAR, I have the NASCAR premium subscription, so I get, the radio and stuff on my phone, and I see everything. I'm that into it. So when I'm watching the race, I have Kyle's radio on, and like I remember last night specifically, I remember listening in. Kyle having some of his tires racing. Him and Adam Stevens going back and forth. And they're talking about it, and they're talking about like towards the end of the race, it was all right, Kyle. We have one set of stickers left, and we got one set of scuffs. Like, what do you want to do? And he's like, oh, and in the turns, Then he has some radio issues, and you can just tell like a lot of sloppiness, and it's stuff that they couldn't really work out because they didn't have those practice runs, they didn't have the qualifying run. It's just all right. Let's just put the car together the best we can and run it for the race. And it's going to be like that for a little while, but hey, you know what? It might make the win more satisfying. It's makes it more of a challenge to win because you don't have the luxuries that you're used to. You're just kind of going out there and giving it your best shot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I just definitely I enjoyed having one live sports back, and it's fun getting back into something that I used to watch when I was younger. And I thought they were great races, and I thought it was really just a good experience. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'll have the Coca-Cola 600 going. That'll be a
Yeah,
long race, so I will have to prepare my mother for that one to let her know she's going to be in for a long haul. And
uh, wrong one.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but it'll be a fun race, and it's nice to have it back. And it was just a really good entertainment for this week. So I really enjoyed it.
The little bit of cigar news. Gonna kind of segue into our next little segment here. Today it was announced by Drew Estate they were canceling all of their 2020 barn smoker events. No surprise, obviously, with everything being canceled. I just thought it was worth mentioning. I know that the Barn Smoker is a major event. I haven't been to one myself yet, but I know a lot of people who enjoy going to the Barn Smoker, and so I can understand there's probably a lot of disappointed people out there, but I'm sure it'll only be temporary. Hopefully it's just this year with all these events getting canceled. But I did read that they were going to do. Everyone will be refunded, but they're going to instead on those days they're going to do a Facebook Live and do a virtual HERF, and they're welcoming everyone to join. And from a lot of the feedback I've heard is a lot of people were pissed about that. And it's like, I get it. It's not the same. I know you were looking forward to going to this event, but I mean, they're trying to help you out. They're still going to give everyone all the swag for free. They're like, hey, we're going to refund you, but give us your address. We're going to send you all the stuff from the weekend anyway. We're going to do a virtual HERF so you can, socialize with people. But, I mean, I think they handled that pretty well. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not a big Jewish guy, but
they're definitely really innovative events, and they're definitely an opportunity for people to experience something here domestically that you experience overseas, and in the Dominican, Nicaragua, Honduras, different areas like that. So the Barn Smoker's been awesome, and it's a big part about the history of American tobacco. So they're great. They do a great job. They're definitely enjoyable. But one of the things for me, on this topic, but not really, I don't know. I didn't read. I saw that post. It wasn't surprising. I thought they were already postponed, but I didn't read any of the comments or whatever on social media. But the thing that's so shocking to me right now, and I'm not trying to be a know-it-all or anything. This is just an opinion and a view, but it seems like people get bent out of shape. I mean, we're going through some really challenging times, and whether you think it's being handled correctly or not, has some relevancy to it, but there's challenges, and people are trying to make the best decisions they can. And everybody's canceling. And then if somebody were, and I said I don't know, I didn't see it, so I'm not sure. But if people were upset about it, other than hey, bummed out, I get that. But man, I can't believe they did this or they did that. I mean, everyone's trying to make the best decisions they can for the safety and health of people, whether it's right or wrong. We're in a state as a country where we're making health decisions, and I see people get angry about this and angry about that, or or even if it's just normal things. People right now are much more critical than I think they ever were of other people, and just people in general. Everybody's got an opinion about everything, which is fine, but it gets stated as fact, and they're getting vindictive about it. Where it's like, hey, Drew Estate's not having. Drew Estate's not going to have the Barn Smoker, so screw Drew Estate. I can't believe they're doing that. And I mean, as you said, they're going to have the virtual HERF. Oh, we should do this. Well, that's the decision they made. Obviously, they would prefer to have the Barn Smoker than not, and that is what it is right now. We live in times where, for a short period of time at least, or maybe a small extended period of time, that decisions are going to be made that you might not like, and we've got to find a way to get through it. And when we do get through it, hopefully those decisions aren't made anymore, or we have more of a voice in that. But people are trying to make the best decisions they can, and it's getting a little frustrating to see negativity right now, because I'm experiencing as much positivity as there is. There's also an equal amount of negativity towards anything, and it's like, hey, everybody needs to focus on themselves and try to be the best version of themselves, and try to react to every situation as understandingly as possible, because you don't necessarily know what's going on all sides of it. So there's always two sides to every story, and sometimes there's more. But I have noticed people getting butthurt about things, and and maybe that's just their way of coping, and I try to be understanding about that as well. But it's just an observation that I've had, and it may be inaccurate, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging times, and like we said, no surprise there on the canceling. Obviously there's going to be a lot of cat. I mean, I made a post online on the website on smokintabacco.com about it. And once again, no surprise, events getting canceled. People are trying to make the best decisions they can. Obviously a lot of these companies have a lot of money invested in these things, so it's like, well, we're also not going to hold events, even if we do hold an event and then no one comes because no one feels safe, and then we waste money on these events. So there's also a business side of it too. I think a lot of people forget about. These people have to, they're obviously, all the manufacturers. I know you can speak to this. There's going to be a decline in sales as things are the way they are right now, and obviously these events are, going to be casualties as an extra thing as these companies are trying to, get themselves on a solid path just so they can make it through this.
Mm-hmm.
The only other events that I have yet to see canceled, the Intertabac, which I think we talked about last week. Intertabac in Germany in September. They claim they're still good. And in November, I think it's the weekend before Thanksgiving, Cigar Aficionado holds their big smoke at the Mirage at Las Vegas, which is always a good event, a big event. So far, I think that's still on. But we'll see. Those could get canceled. Maybe by November, maybe things are different. Who knows? We don't know at this point. So, yeah, as these things happen, like I said, no surprises. I would, and if you know what, and if you bought tickets to any of these big events, don't hold your breath. I would plan on them being canceled. Don't get too excited for them. If you've already spent the money, I get it, but don't be shocked when you're.
Well, yeah, there's certainly any event for the next several months. There's certainly a possibility of it being canceled, especially in this year. There's a possibility, and hopefully these things aren't. But there's definitely a possibility. We've seen things. So people ask, what do you think of this? And like, hey, they got to understand that there might be a distinct possibility it's canceled. Or there's some abbreviated version of it. So we'll see where things go. But yeah, it was too bad to see that. I know that's an event a lot of people look forward to, and it's definitely educational and a fun experience. So it's too bad to see that canceled. But the way things have been, current state of where we're at. It seems like that was the decision that's going to be made with most functions like that for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So treading into uncharted territory still. It's kind of been our theme the last few weeks, but those are the times that we live in. I wanted to ask you really quick. I know you're not fully caught up on it, but how far are you in The Last Dance? Because I have finished the whole thing.
All right, so we had an issue at my house.
Uh-oh.
We went to go watch episode 5 the other day, which is the episode of Kobe Bryant. And somehow episode 5 got deleted. So I have it on demand through ESPN Plus. So we will go on and watch it, but we're stalled right now on episode 4 because of episode 5. So I'll have to connect my phone and computer up to load that up onto the television. So yeah, we're only on episode 4. So the last episode was the Dennis Rodman episode, and then the episode that was episode 3. Episode 4 of The Last Dance is when Scottie Pippen comes back. So they talked a lot about that. So yeah, the next one's the Kobe Bryant episode, and I really want to watch that. We were gonna go and my dad was like, "Hey, let's just watch episode 6," and I was like, "We got to watch this in order. If we're gonna do it, we got to watch it completely in order." Because I just don't want to. I'm not gonna miss anything, but I really don't want to miss anything. I want to watch it as it was intended. So I'm not done with it yet. Hopefully by next Thursday, I've had at least 3 or 4 more episodes done, so we can get a little further into it. Because I know you're dying to talk about it a little bit more. But
Yeah.
I'm on episode 5.
What I will say is, after watching the whole thing, you have a whole new respect for Michael Jordan, the way he played the game, his dedication. I think I watch a lot of documentaries, a lot of series and stuff. That's probably the best documentary I've seen, and I've seen a lot. I think that one I was fully invested in, fully engaged in. I didn't want it to end. I wish there was another 10 episodes. I really do. I would watch 20 episodes of that. And, if there was, the amount of material for it. I thought it was great. And it does ramp up, and I think episodes 7 and 8, I think, were the best. 7 and 8 were the best. Obviously 10 is a good one. That's the end, and it kind of closes it up. But 7 and 8 was really good. And I liked when Jordan, they kind of get into, when Jordan lost his dad, coming back to basketball from baseball. And I'm not going to say too much, but just
Well,
they covered.
you're not gonna ruin anything because I witnessed it as like in my
Right,
life. Like I
right.
do remember most of it.
But they touch on it, and it's good. That part that was a good part of it.
It's funny you mentioned that you didn't want it to be over, because really that's kind of the point of the whole Last Dance is it didn't need to be over. Like what could have been if they could have taken to the next level, because Jordan still had a little bit left in the tank. He truly retired at the top of the mountain. He didn't overstay his welcome by any means. Now he ended up coming back and playing for the Wizards and whatnot, and he was still a really good player at that point in time. But it was that was 4 or 5 years later or whatever, several years after. He probably had a couple more good years in him, and they could have made a run for it, and there would have had to been some changes and whatnot. But they could have maybe pulled out another championship. Maybe that next year they might have been able to go for four in a row. And it was always like what could have been. I remember when he retired, I was like, oh, he's done, and like they just won the championship. Like I think Karl Malone might have won the MVP that year, or whatever. Maybe the year before Karl Malone won it, but so he wins Finals
Did it?
MVP.
Oh, he did because
Yeah,
I remember Michael saying going
yeah,
into that finals, it was like, oh, you gave him the MVP. All right, I'm
yeah,
gonna show you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like he had more in the tank, and it was a great ending to really the ending of his career, because when he came back, it was essentially novelty. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it was like, man, the guy still had some more in the tank, and Scottie Pippen had more in the tank. Dennis Rodman had more in the tank. So there was definitely more, more there. Phil Jackson went on to go and coach, Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and win championships there. And yeah, the torch would have eventually been passed to that situation anyway. But I would have, what could have been if there was one more year. And the thing that we have to look forward to being from New England here is that we're going to have something like this on steroids for Tom Brady. Like the Patriots documentary in like 15, 20 years is going to be epic.
Oh, and it
And the
will
same
happen.
type of thing. And it's going to be like they're going to go throughout this whole time, and we're going to get to see what kind of really went on this last two seasons, and be like, what could have been if we'd done it. Now, maybe it was supposed to be over anyway. But again, you could think that maybe maybe it was supposed to be over for Jordan and the Bulls. But who knows? It's it left it open, and I think Jordan. I haven't seen the rest of it, but just listening to him talk, I mean, I think he would have loved to see what if there was one more year. I mean, it was almost forced upon him, and and he's a man of conviction, and he was like, hey, if Phil's not here, I'm not here. Boom, I'm done. And he did. He didn't even call their bluff. They weren't even bluffing. They're like, this is done. He's gone. Jordan's like, I'm gone. And they're like, okay, fine, we'll move on. Which is insane, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to respect his mentality. He stayed loyal to the team. He's like, all right, you're gonna take Phil away? Okay, I'm staying with Phil. And Scottie Pippen had his own situation, and he was like, all right. And then they traded him in the 98-99 season. Dennis Rodman, I think, was released, but I know that they've interviewed all of them since this has been out, and they've all said like, yeah, we would have won another one. We would have had 7,
Mm-hmm.
no doubt. We would have had
Yeah, I
7.
think
We had one more
so.
chance. We would have got 7.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, what could have been, and it's still amazing and great. We may never see anything like that again, and it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, I remember when it was over. It was like, man, it's over. Yeah, it was fun. I'm a basketball fan, so Kobe Bryant was around. There was still a lot of great players. Grant Hill was around. It was the Celtics were, Paul Pierce was starting to come out, and there was some good stuff going on. But it was definitely the end of an era, and and what the
Not
Last
to mention,
Dance shows you is like what could have been.
Phil Jackson went on to be Kobe's coach and win championships.
Yeah, they won
With
multiple
Kobe.
championships there. Yeah, it was huge, man. So, obviously they were heading in a different direction. And, besides maybe one season, 2 seasons, specifically the season when Derrick Rose won MVP, he was with the Chicago Bulls, and, he was a stud, and he had his knee issues. Um, but, I mean, Chicago never really recovered. So the decisions they made didn't really pay off. It really put them in a time of challenge. And then Derrick Rose came around. They had a few good seasons, and then more recently they had Jimmy Butler. And but yeah, no, Chicago's never really been the same team. They never really. And you can't expect a return to that type of glory, but the whole goal was to rebuild, right? It was to go to the next generation, the next step. They never really went there.
Nope. And I would say the only other, city of Chicago. They've done kind of well. Jerry Reinsdorf also owns the Chicago White Sox. In 2005, they finally broke their World Series drought. They got a World Series title. The Chicago Blackhawks, they had a couple of Stanley
The
Cup wins.
White
They beat us.
Sox won the World Series in 2005?
They did.
No way.
They did because in 2004, the Red Sox broke the 86-year curse, and then in 2005, I think the White Sox was like 90 years, and the White Sox won it the next year right after that. 2006 was the St. Louis Cardinals. I know my baseball.
Yeah,
But
I just can't believe who was on that team.
I don't even remember who was on that team, but I remember they won.
The Chicago White Sox. Yeah. Man, that blows my mind. I forgot
Meanwhile, the
that.
Chicago Bears have still not won a Super Bowl since
Yeah,
the
and
Mike Ditka
the Cubs hadn't won one. The Cubs hadn't won one at that point
until
either. Yeah, so like
2017.
Chicago, yeah,
No,
the White Sox,
16.
man.
Cubs won in 16 after 108 years. That was pretty much. I was happy when the Cubs won that one because as a baseball fan and as a Red Sox fan, I felt their pain, and I was happy to see the Cubs win a World Series. It really was.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out like who was on the team.
So Chicago as a city, they've done okay. They haven't had a Super Bowl, but they had the 90s with the Bulls. They had a good run in a World Series in '05 with the White Sox. Then in the 2010s era, the Blackhawks won a few Stanley Cups. I remember Jonathan Taves was one of them who was on that team. He was really good.
Yeah, man. So Ozzie Guillen was the coach. So they had a good team. Yeah, they had Jermaine Dye, Paul Konerko, Mark Burley, AJ Brzezinski. Yeah, they were a good
Oh yeah,
team, man. I
James.
forgot that. That's crazy. Yeah, that was Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what's the Bears haven't done so well. But
Yeah, is what it is. Somebody's got to suck.
somebody's got to suck. No one can suck as bad as the Cleveland Browns have for the last few years. Cleveland Browns, they had a parade in Cleveland because they went fully defeated. They had a fully defeated parade. They went 0-16. They had a parade.
That whole thing was awesome because that was like when a team loses, you can say as a human being, if you'd paid me $8 million to be the head coach, I could at least do as good as the last one did.
Yeah,
I could guarantee
absolutely.
you that I could lose all 16 games as a head coach.
Then they had their mishaps with Johnny Manziel and that whole thing. Now they have Odell Beckham Jr. and they have what's their quarterback's name now? Why do I
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield? That's right. They have Baker Mayfield. They're trying to kind of get something going. They didn't do so bad last year, but we'll see.
They were actually better the year before, in my opinion. They were like almost. They were about 500, and they could have had they lost like 6 of their games by less than like one score. So they were actually a pretty decent team. They were a little better, and then they had a bunch of egos on the team. People were all getting paid. They have incentives in their contract. Somebody's got to sacrifice, right? For the better good. And it's just I don't blame them, but it doesn't. Odell Beckham doesn't seem like a guy that's going to sacrifice. Jarvis Landry doesn't seem like a guy that's going to sacrifice, and Baker Mayfield's young. It's like, how do you deal with these egos? It's just a unique situation. So,
I will say this: I was thinking about this the other day. Now that we don't have Tom Brady, and look, he's won enough, and I'm not going to hate on Tom Brady. He's Tom Brady. It still hurts. It's still fresh, but he's not in a Patriots uniform. So having said that, I would like to see Drew Brees win another Super Bowl. I think Drew Brees is the kind of guy who should have at least 2 Super Bowls. And he's getting up there. And now you have Brady in the NFC South with the New Orleans Saints. And I think week 1 is Bucks at Saints at the Superdome. But, and again, they got Gronkowski down there now. And I get it. But I don't know. I don't know. And again, it's Tom Brady. So anything can happen. But he's in a different team. I don't know if I see Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. I don't know. And
I don't know.
Honestly,
so the exciting thing about it, though, is like we're going to get to see twice next year, this NFL season. We're going to see Brady versus Brees twice, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But I watched on WEEI the other night online on Facebook. They did a Madden 2020 Patriots versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2020 Patriots versus 2020 Bucks. They did the whole
Yeah.
game simulated. I watched the whole thing in like 2 hours. It was awesome, and I had a good time. And the commentary was kind of funny. They had Fitzy on there, and Wiggins was on there, and it was good. It was entertaining. But the Patriots won 27-24. Stidham looked good. Um, they were joking around about a lot of things, but the wide receiving core was decent. There's some decent players. The Patriots are going to have a pretty good team. The thing that we're forgetting about the Patriots this year, which was obvious in Madden, which yeah, you still got to play the games, but Madden does have some decent things. Uh, that Buccaneers secondary is not very good. They got better, but they're not very good. They're like a sieve, and the Patriots wide receivers were all over it. That Patriots defense on a video game was really good. In person, they're excellent. And that
Right.
defense is, in my opinion, is just as good, if not going to be better next year. The best player on the Patriots for the last 2 seasons is still on the team. Stephon Gilmore. He hasn't
Yeah.
left the team. He's been the best player. He's been the MVP of the team the last 2 years. He was the best defensive player in the league last year. Top 5 defensive player of the year before. Easily going to be a top 5 again this year. So we're in a unique spot because we lost the GOAT, but we didn't lose our best player. The best player on our team is still on the team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you still have Bill Belichick right in the ship. Still have Stephon Gilmore. We still have Julian Edelman, who's proven
Dante
himself.
Hightower.
Dante Hightower, the McCourties, especially Devin McCourty, still a good player. He's got some fuel in the tank still.
That defense last year was good enough to take that trash bag offense and make them a legitimate title contender. That
Right.
defense is going to be good enough this year to win that division. And if that offense can do anything, and just not make a lot of mistakes, that's good enough. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl because the defense was so good. Stidham, doesn't have the pedigree of Dilfer because he hasn't been in the league as long, but he's more physically gifted to him. So if Trent Dilfer can pull it off, I think Stidham can pull it off if they put the right pieces in place, because that defense, at least for this year, is going to be good enough, and it'll be pretty good the next year too. Eventually, it's going to have to meet in the middle, but that defense is the real deal. By the way,
I mean,
the DJ Horn sound, that means we're in
overtime. A lot of people, Stidham, like they're gonna play Stidham. It's like, slow down for a minute. He spent some time under Tom Brady. He's got Brian Hoyer to kind of lean on for advice. He's a Patriots quarterback. He's got Bill Belichick. Everything that they have. Tom Brady was a 6th round, 199th overall pick who couldn't run from Michigan, who was the backup to Drew Bledsoe. Now, Drew Bledsoe obviously was not Tom Brady, but remember, Tom Brady was like, oh, who is this kid? No, this kid. Like, have you seen him run in the combine? And then all of a sudden he went on to be good. I'm not saying Stidham's going to be the next Tom Brady, but it doesn't mean the kid's going to suck. You got to give him a chance. You got to give him a chance to play the game, to grow, to show us what he can do. If something better comes along, great. If Stidham turns out to be good, great. If Stidham turns out to be a stinker, he won't be there very long. At least as long as Bill Belichick's around. There's a lot of ways that this could go. I'm not saying anything particular is going to happen because we really know. I think that the Patriots will have a good team. How they're going to have a good team, what their record's going to be this year, I can't say for sure. But I see Pat Palladino has chimed in to watching the show, and I know Pat loves to talk football. I'll see if he'll comment here in the comments with us. So Pat, if you're watching, I'd love to hear some commentary from you. But it's going to be an exciting season to be a Patriots fan because this is now going to be the post Tom Brady era. I'm excited to see what happens. You can look at people are saying, oh, maybe the Patriots will suck and we can get Trevor Lawrence in the draft. Yeah, okay. Well, let's focus on Trevor Lawrence when it's Trevor Lawrence's turn to be drafted. Until then, let's worry about what we have. There was a lot of people out there who got excited because when the Green Bay Packers drafted, who did they draft in the draft?
Dude, I haven't.
I don't remember who they drafted. Is it Love, maybe? Is that kid Love? Uh, they drafted him, and then everyone got all excited, like, oh, they're gonna get rid of Aaron Rodgers now because they got this kid. Like that shows they're not confident. Well, Aaron Rodgers has been around for a while. Like, there's kind of like two sides to that. And then everyone was like, well, does that mean that the Patriots are gonna get Aaron Rodgers? Not necessarily. Yeah, that's what it was. It was Jordan Love, and then everyone got all excited because like, oh, that means that because Jordan Love is amazing in college, so now they're gonna get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and then everyone was like, oh, well, will Belichick go for Aaron Rodgers? That's not gonna happen. I don't see that happening. If we got Aaron Rodgers in a New England Patriots uniform,
by the way,
I'm not gonna hate it.
The Patriots in this draft drafted all the issues that we had. They had issues at tight end. The tight ends were trash. Couldn't not only could they not really catch well, they refused to block. They couldn't block, and when they tried to block, they couldn't. So they didn't try, and when they did, they sucked. And then their offensive line needed to do some drafting and they drafted defensive line. They drafted the positions that they had issues with last year, which was glaringly obvious all season. The tight ends was a big problem. That was the biggest issue, in my opinion, with the whole team and I don't even know if Gronk would have fixed that. You know, Gronk's getting a little older physically. So
Right.
you know, I don't think he's a 60% snap guy. I think you're going to see him play half the snaps this season. They'll use him situationally, and they'll use him heavy in the playoffs. But you're not going to see like a 1,500-yard, 10-touchdown season out of Gronk this year. You know,
No.
they don't have him there. They don't have him there just to be a blocker. You know, just to be a blocker and an extra receiver. Like they're going to utilize him, and it's going to be specific packages because he's unguardable. He's 6'6". He's got a wingspan that's almost 7 feet. He's unguardable. There's no defensive player that can cover him. Linebackers there's big linebackers, but he's still 6'6". He's bigger than every linebacker. He's bigger than every secondary player. So they're going to use him situationally. But that wouldn't have helped last season with the Patriots. Gronk there, yeah, I would have preferred to have him than not, but it wouldn't have solved their problems. Their problems were their other tight ends. They just couldn't freaking block.
And their kicking sucked.
Yeah, kicking was bad all season. But yeah, they couldn't block. Kicking sucked, and yeah, that was tough. And then the receivers couldn't get open. So part of the reason the receivers couldn't get open because they needed more time. They went an extra half a second, and they didn't have the extra half a second.
Yeah, you know, I'm optimistic about this season, and I think that whatever we see this season will kind of set the tone going forward for what we can expect out of the post Tom Brady era in New England. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to watch Tom Brady play in another team to see how well, you know, he takes everything with him somewhere else to see, you know, the similarities and, you know, put him in a completely different environment and see how he does. I think it's going to be a good challenge for him, and I think it's going to be a great challenge to watch. Watching him play Drew Brees twice a year, that's going to be fun. Love to see that. So it's going to be a fun NFL season. And again, there's a lot of good names that were drafted this year. A lot of major moves. So I think it's going to be a good football season, as long as there's no major, you know, interruptions with coronavirus at that time. I think it'll be a good football season.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of great stories this year. You know what I mean? There's just good stories everywhere.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that baseball, to touch on that quickly, you know, obviously we are almost into the third month with no baseball season, and they're trying to get it back going. And right now, you know, players are being too greedy. They don't want to do profit sharing. These guys, they haven't played for 2 months, and possibly, you know, more, and they're gonna play, you know, maybe I think it was like 84 games, 81 games they were gonna play, you know, with no fans and no concessions, and they're gonna play in empty ballparks with, you know, a lot of limited stuff going on, And they're like, well, you have people like Mike Trout who's like, yeah, I still want you to give me everything in my $410 million contract that I signed. It's like, all right, well, everyone's making sacrifices right now, and they're like, no, I still want all of it. I know I'm not playing like a whole season this year, but I'm gonna still get paid like I did. And so, I think it kind of shows the true character of professional baseball players and why they are different from other professional athletes. I mean, you have the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL, and then you have Major League Baseball players, and they do sit on an island alone, and not necessarily for a good reason. I mean, yeah, they make a lot more money, but at the same time, they act like it and they let you know.
Well, one of
Um,
the reasons they make more money too is because they play 162 games. So if you're not going to get to play 162 games, guess what? Making $40 million a year might not be able to happen. Yeah, like it's
yeah,
that's people. Baseball's got tons of money because the amount of games they play. It's
right,
huge. Like if the NBA played 180, 164 games, LeBron James would be getting paid $100 million a year.
right,
You know what I mean? Like easy, like easily. His impacts, he impacts the NBA by billions of dollars. He'd be getting paid at least 100 million. So if you calculated that, if the NFL the players would get injured, so they probably wouldn't be able to collect most of it. But if they doubled their season, you could maybe triple the salaries. It's not just like you add an extra 20 games, or whatever, and it's like, oh, we double the season, you double the salaries. No, it's more than that. When you have a long extended season, the amount of money you can pay, especially on baseball with the television contracts, every baseball game's on TV, everything, everywhere. Um, there's just media contracts. There's so much money because there's 162 games by what, like 32 teams? It's huge. It's big money. You fill stadiums. You got television contracts, sponsors, and advertisers for 162 games that goes over a period of like 240 days. There's 2/3 of the year there's baseball. You know, for a third of the year there's basketball. For a quarter of the year there's football. So that's why money is different. The NFL is a money, a cash cow. If you had 32
oh,
games,
totally,
if you had 32 games, people would be getting paid $60 million a year. Now they physically wouldn't be able to do it, but baseball, yeah, they get paid because there's games. So if you cut down a quarter of the games, cutting down a quarter of the games in baseball is like cutting out like you know 3 weeks of the football season.
right.
If you cut out 3 weeks of the football season, that's a big deal. If you were to cancel half the football season, it's a big deal. Um, but then the money you have to recoup is different too at the same time. So it's really a business. So I look at baseball, and it's like financially on that level, you know, I also want it to be fair, but baseball players get taken care of really well. The highest paid athletes in the world are the starting pitchers, the ace on any baseball team. People are like, oh no, soccer players. Like, dude, you look at the way some of these starting pitchers get paid. These guys making almost $40 million a year. It's silly money,
Right.
and they play 20. They pitch 30 games,
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout, he's got the biggest contract I think in the league. He's got, I think it's $425 million over the
Yeah,
next 12 years.
yeah, and that's because there's
412.
162 baseball games. 162 games, man. Mike Trout, if you're gonna go and play 80 games, there's gonna have to be some sort of negotiation here. And I support the player on that. I think the players are the ones that make the game, obviously. But the game's got to have it's got to make financial sense for everyone, right?
It's true. I mean, it's kind of a give and take, and I think that the players are kind of being like, no, it's either we get everything or we're not doing anything, and the teams are like, well, all right, so we're gonna make it so that way we can earn something, we can have games, and
And but
obviously
but
it's
but by the
changed.
way, the players have the rights to ask for their money. I mean, those teams sign those contracts too. And
Sure.
baseball contracts are fully guaranteed. So it's the nature of the beast at the same time too, where it's like if I was a player in that boat, I'd be like, you know what, hey, you signed this contract, you owe me the money. So I see both sides. I lean towards the player, but I hope for the sake of the fans that there's some compromise because I'd hate to see a season, a shortened season or whatever it is. Same thing in the NBA. I hate to see a shortened season not be executed right because when we do get back to sports, I mean, I'm sure that the NASCAR ratings on Sunday must have been record breaking. I know there was something like some record breaking number of like Vegas, of, sports bets made on it. So all eyes are going to be on these sports, and people are clamoring for it. So I hope whatever is decided that both sides are able to work it out. So the product, even though it's a shortened, modified version, an augmented version of the product is enjoyable.
That's the other thing too you brought up. This is kind of interesting. All the casinos in Vegas are closed right now, but sports are coming back. So it's like at least the sports book. Now it's like you're missing out on taking bets. It's like and it makes you wonder, like, well, could they at least go to a format where if the casino wasn't open, they could open the book to the employees and they could take bets over the phone or the computer, so they could still take bets in on sports? Because I don't think anyone. I don't think those races. I don't think anyone could place bets because the casinos are closed.
Oh, I'm sure there's a way to place bets.
Well, yes, there's always ways to place bets, but at least that way, you have to wonder if they're like, oh, well, like, is there any way we can have it be allowed so we can at least do it electronically through some sort of verification, so we can at least take bets? People can't come in the casino and come to the book and place their bets, but maybe we can make a temporary solution where, like, we can have people play. I mean, yeah, you have DraftKings and you have you have your town bookie who you can give them cash and you can bet on something. But
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Not really. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, but yeah, I mean, you look at the whole thing from the revenue of the game to the players to now you have the gambling world with sports. Everyone's losing money on it from multiple, even indirectly. It makes you realize just how much of a business professional sports are. As much as they are entertaining, as much as you love your favorite team and your favorite player, that is probably one of the biggest businesses in the world, professional sports. Just the amount of money that it rakes in. So yeah, people are definitely feeling it. But other than that, I think that covers sports for this week. There was a lot, as some stuff has begun to come back. And where are we at for time here? We still have some time.
We're 9:16. Yeah, I mean, we got 10 minutes or so. I mean, we were in overtime, so overtime can end anytime we want. We can be sudden death, boom, done. Whatever we need to do. How you enjoying that? No, but you go first. You go first.
Well, I forget. Did you smoke the Padron or the LFD first?
I smoked the Padron. I'm still smoking it. It's a 60 ring gauge, soft box press, so it's lasting quite a while. So, but yeah, I'm still smoking it, really enjoying it, and I'll smoke the LFD double press tonight for my nightcap.
Ooh, I'm still working on the Fuente here. It's going well. A lot of smoke. Really rich on the flavor. This is, I think, the second one out of the box. These are at $1.10, I believe. This is my second one out of the box. I'm enjoying it, and still burning. I still got plenty left. I still got a lot of time left on this cigar. And if I have another one, I brought some stuff out here with me in my travel humidor. What do I have in here? I have that Atabey. I have a Byron Gren Poema that I've been itching to smoke. I have an LFD in here. What is this? It's a double Ligero. I also have another Nova. Love Novas. My girlfriend wanted to try cigars and get into smoking because of me, and I'm like, all right. So she ordered some Novas and she ordered some other cigars from another retailer online, and so she started trying them, and she kind of likes it. I'm starting to kind of figure out what she likes and what she doesn't like, trying to guide her without really trying to tell her what she should like. Just kind of like, here, smoke this. Tell me what you think, and she'll tell me something. And I'll be like, all right, so you don't like, strong Dominican. You like more of a mild Dominican. And kind of, she's only been a few cigars in, but it's been fun to watch. I think I posted her on Smokin Tabacco last night, and I think the Nova page went and reposted her, which was kind of fun. She got all excited about that. But so I know she's watching, and she had a cigar last night, and she had a Nova Congress, and she loved it. So Um, Even my mom said, she was like, "Oh," she goes, "Nicole's liking those noses." I go, "Yeah." She's like, I guess I might have to try one of those. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get her into cigars. We'll get her to try one. Um, I'll have to get some influence on that.
So
Help me get her with a.
yeah, so I've been watching myself on the screen here. So the last, I've been embracing this not cutting the hair thing, and I started in the gym again, back again this week. My buddy Matt lifting weights, and it started to drive me nuts, man. I The hair on the side of my head's driving me nuts. The hair on the top of my head is driving me nuts. The hair on my face is driving me nuts. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to go with the hair here on the face. It's getting kind of long. I think I'm going to progressively clean it up. I think I'll go goatee next. I think what you got going on. I might do your thing here and
You're
do a
enjoying
little
the.
goatee. Yeah, I think I might go a little. When I can get a haircut, I think what I'm going to do is go high and tight. So don't worry, Nicole. We'll get you an LFD. We'll start on some of the milder stuff just so we don't kick your ass. We'll
Let's
graduate to
go.
that.
I got
But
plenty of elephants in the house.
yeah. So so I think what I'll do is I'll go high and tight, get the top cleaned up, military style, and then I'll shave the side down here, and I'll just go goatee with that for a short period of time, and then I think in at the end of June I'm gonna fully retire all the facial hair and go back to the clean cut John Carney because that's what the people want.
That's what the people want.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know.
Some of the people have spoken, and they're not a huge fan of bald, fresh, clean shaved John Carney. They need a little
Yeah,
hair.
which is funny because that's the John Carney that most people know.
I
Because
know.
I've been shaving my head since I was in like first grade. So I'm not going to shave my head again. I'm going to keep the hair because I like it. It's nice and I enjoy it. It's a good thing. But I am definitely going to go high and tight. That's normally what I do. I go into the store, into the hair salon or wherever I go, barber, and I'm like, I want you to cut my hair like a U.S. Marine. So they high and
Okay.
tight all the way, completely skinned down on the sides. So yeah, but it's like I've never had. This is the most hair I've had in my entire life, um, probably since I was a kid. So it's just weird for me, and it's starting to get itchy and starting to drive me nuts. So maybe next week we'll go goatee, but maybe I'll ride it out for a little bit longer and see how I
Well,
can
it's
go.
funny. It's funny because I was actually looking at photos from last year's Two Guys Smoke Shop anniversary dinner, and which hopefully we can still go to that this year. Um, and it was funny. There was some photos of you because you were there representing LFD, and you had on this beautiful cream jacket. Always stylish. John is always
Hey,
stylish,
I try.
and you had the high and tight hair,
Yep.
and it was good. It works on you.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah,
works.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll probably go back to that soon. But I said I'm in the stage now of this quarantine, especially the next 30 days, where I'm like, I got to make this look good. I can't. I mean, I had some steaks tonight. I did a wagyu strip steak, and I had a bison ribeye and some lobster, and with my dad. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is great, but I can't come out of this quarantine looking like I've been in quarantine. When this is over, I got to come back 100%. So
True.
now I'm in the stage of making this quarantine look good.
Hey, since you bring it up on Saturday, I know no one was really able to go, but I was in attendance for your welcome back to Cigar Authority
Yeah.
um, with the boys. And after that show, you cooked up a little bit of steak and some Brussels sprouts, which were phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you.
I have had John's cooking now firsthand. I will tell you, it lives up to the hype. It really does. He's an amazing chef. He knows his meat, but he also knows his Brussels sprouts. And I was really caught off guard because I don't really like Brussels sprouts, but I had John's and I was like, whoa, these are awesome. And so I was trying to get that recipe out of John
Yeah,
this week.
I ignored your text message by mistake. Um, so, so the Brussels sprouts, there's tons of different ways you can do them. You can do them shredded. The best thing that I do with them is, my best Brussels sprout dish is I keep the little root bottom of it. It's a root vegetable, so I just cut it straight in half and saute it up with olive oil with the halves. You cut the flat part of the half straight down to get that um, that char essentially on it and that grill marks or the
Yep.
saute pan marks. And the ones we did after the show, because the night before the show was supposed to be the Wood Butcher Steakhouse experience. And by the way, that was the first show I'd done in a while, and over in almost 3 months. So I was super talkative. It was great to be on there and get all of that out. Um, so yeah, thank you to them for allowing me to kind of take over the show a little bit. I was the guest, so that's usually what the guest is for, right? But
Right.
they let me really kind of get everything out, so that was nice. But yeah, we did the Brussels sprouts, cut them in half, olive oil in the pan. We cooked in the pan, the same pan that the steaks had cooked in. So we had the grease from the steaks, which was nice, and the fat in there. So there's a lot of good flavor of that. So we put a little oil and a little olive oil in. We used truffle salt. I did use a little bit of pepper to season at the end. Some diced up shallots. Shallots, I prefer shallots over just regular onions, just a little more intensity and flavor. And we did some lemon juice in there. And then after we got those nice and soft, the lemon juice, I use that because it kind of takes away a little bit of that, you know, that nature taste, which is kind of grassiness that some people get from Brussels sprouts. I like it because I actually like raw Brussels sprouts too, but it takes that bitterness away. So you put a little bit of the citrus in there, and then we topped it off with balsamic vinegar and fresh shaved Parmesan cheese. So yeah, those were awesome, man. They were really good. I'm glad you liked them too, and I get compliments on my Brussels sprouts. I have a few different ways I cook them, but that's my my signature way. Sometimes I make a Brussels sprout hash where I'll shred them up, so you have shredded Brussels sprouts, so it's a little crispier, more like a hash, like a potato hash would be. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was a little fun. I brought 4 or 5 steaks down for everybody to have there, and just to bring a little bit of what we were going to do the night before. But we'll have something again there. But yeah, it was great to be on the show and good to get back out and around a little bit. Everything was very clean and very little interaction, which was great. Um,
Yeah.
because when I came back up, it was I knew I hadn't been around a lot of people, no touching and things like that. So that was good. But yeah, it was nice to get out there and kind of do a little bit of what I normally do and kind of kick some of the rust off.
Yeah, that was definitely a great event. You guys were really going at it on the show. A lot of commentary there, especially with you got a good topic, the do's and don'ts of what you should do in a cigar shop, which I know we teased last week on this forum. Now that it has happened, yeah, there was some good stuff there. Um,
Sometimes those are the harder shows to be on because I try to be as honest as I can. And I think sometimes I come off as a dick during those things, and anyone would. When you come in the show, we're going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do in a cigar shop. Um, it's always a challenging thing, I think, for listeners to hear things that they may disagree with. But
right.
it's all for the point of discussion, and the important thing is it's okay to disagree. Um, but I do find sometimes those are some of the more challenging shows, and I'm fine being on it. Like I don't mind if somebody doesn't take it the right way. That's fine. It doesn't bother me too much. I listen to it, and that's fine, but I don't get too offended. But those are some of the challenging shows to come on because you always leave it and you're like, yeah, I look like a dick because I said you shouldn't do this, and this is a fact or whatever, and we get into it and we build it up a little bit for the show too. But those are always the challenging shows to be on. So it just happened to be my first one back out was a show like that. So it was like I had everything. It was no holds barred, and we went right after it.
Yeah, that was a good show. Like I said, I was there. I enjoyed a few cigars. Then you were on the after show, which was nice as well. For those of you guys who do follow them, check out the last week's Cigar Authority episode. Also check out the after show, which came out on Wednesday, I believe, and that's also available everywhere podcasts can be found.
Yeah,
We were actually was
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just gonna say in that point we were supposed to have you on the ash holes last week, but again some things had to be changed. So hopefully at a later date we can get you down on the ash holes as well.
We're gonna have plenty of time this summer, so we'll definitely make it happen. But one thing we had, and I'll pop it up on the screen. We've got Memorial Day weekend coming up, and the Quarantine Grilling crew will be doing the Ultimate Backyard Barbecue. It's episode 9 on Memorial Day. This coming Monday, May 25th, 5 p.m. We'll be celebrating the fallen heroes of the United States military. So it's a special day. A special day. We'll be having a moment of silence. We'll be doing the national anthem at the beginning of the show to thank those that made the ultimate sacrifice. But it's the Memorial Day's turned into really a celebration of freedom as well, and the
Yeah.
freedom that those people sacrificed for. So barbecuing has been a big part of it. So this weekend will be the ultimate backyard barbecue. on the extended weekend, Monday, May 25th, 5 p.m. Eastern, Quarantine Grilling. We'll be doing a giveaway in conjunction with our sponsor, Wood Butcher. We'll be giving away one of the Wood Butcher Maine custom-made butcher blocks that was made just for this show as a giveaway by Aaron Smith, the Wood Butcher. So we're teaming up with them on this show, and our listeners and viewers will be able to participate with the opportunity to win that butcher block. So Ultimate Backyard Barbecue, Episode 9, Memorial Day at 5 p.m. Eastern, Quarantine Grilling.
It's going to be a good episode. Looking forward to that one. It's going to be a good one. I have to say, through your whole quarantine grilling, you really inspired me to really get more. I mean, I've always liked to cook and I've always liked to grill, but really inspired me to think more about grilling and more uniqueness and different stuff to cook. So yeah, I've been enjoying that whole thing you've been doing, and it's been a good inspiration for me, I have to say. So thank you for that.
Well, yeah, no, it's great because that's really what it's about, and that's why, for the last several years, why I've been posting so much food stuff online. It goes in step with cigars for me, and it's been it's part of who I am, and cigars are obviously very fitting with most of the items that I cook, and I when I'm having a nice dinner, I smoke and have a cigar at the same time. But it's really about, I really started doing it more because people were really interested in it. They were generally interested in how I prepare something or what I was preparing. And it inspired them to start posting things, and sending things to me. Hey, I'm cooking this, text messages, social media. So yeah, it really is about inspiration. And the show is about inspiring people to go out and enjoy the art of grilling and cooking. And the social media stuff I share is really about the people viewing it, and if they're getting something out of it like you have, that's really the goal. So that's what we try to do, and that's what I try to do with it, and it's been a really fun thing, and that's why I keep doing it. And I try to take things to another level, and I try to stay up on it. It's not just for my own enjoyment, but I know there's other people that enjoy it too. So it's great to hear that firsthand, and and that's the goal. So it's nice to know that it's being received that way.
I know that you mentioned earlier that you had lobster tonight with your dad, and it was funny. It reminded me that so my sister's boyfriend, there's a lot of foods that you and I would be like, oh my god, and he's afraid to eat them. He's definitely afraid of mushrooms. He won't do it. Lobster he can't do, or the only fish he eats is haddock because he calls it the white bread of the sea.
That's a good. That gives me a little bit of respect for him because it really is.
So he'll eat haddock, but he won't eat anything else. My girlfriend had a terrorizing experience as a child when she got attacked by a lobster at the age of 4. I grabbed her right on the foot, and so she's actually never had lobster. So now through this, as soon as I found out, I was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah, I've never had it." She's like, "Well, I'll try it." And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna get you to try lobster." So that's on my mission.
Well, the best thing about it is at least you can pitch it to her as like this is her moment to establish her dominance over this creature that caused so much issues with her over her life. So hopefully it's rewarding and she can be involved in the cooking process and and I said establish her dominance and hopefully get over that fear.
Yeah. So good hopes for her, but for Cam, my sister's boyfriend, he's too afraid to do it. He wants to let the creature win.
Hey, everybody makes decisions in their lives, it is what it is, and I got to deal with that.
Did you know? So they've been going out for about 2 years now, and it was until 2 years ago. It was right after they started going out. We went out to dinner, and we were going for Chinese, and he had actually told us, he's like, "Yeah, I've never had Chinese food before." And I thought that was the craziest thing I had ever heard because I'm like, how can you be a 20-something years old and you've never had Chinese food? I mean, I don't know. Am I crazy? I mean, how could you never have Chinese food?
That's shocking.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
I was like blown away. I'm like,
Yeah,
and I know him and his dad are probably watching this because they do watch the show.
Yeah,
and
blown away. Doesn't make any sense to me. They sound like good people, but I don't trust it.
But I will say he had it and he loved it. So he loves Chinese food now. But
I mean, of course you do. It's addictive. It's literally addictive.
I know. I mean, how can you not? If he said he didn't like Chinese food, I'd be like, all right, there is something wrong with you. But I can look past the lobster, but Chinese food is where I draw the line. I love Chinese food. He also likes chocolate cake too. kid is like one of the thinnest people I know, and he just loves chocolate cake and desserts and stuff too. So, God bless him. I mean, really,
Yeah, hey,
he
good
gets
for him.
all
Yeah,
that.
good for him. Good for him. I don't wrong him. That's fine. But you'd have to get expand the guy's palate. I mean, that should be your mission.
I know I have to expand a couple of palettes right now, so that's going to be my mission for the year. So that's what I got forward to this summer. Introduce new foods to people. Oh,
So we're
wow.
at the witching hour. We got anything else we need to talk about here?
Um, Closing remarks. I would say, go on, subscribe on YouTube, Smokin Tabacco. Go check out the website. Website's getting bigger every day. New stuff on the website every day. Hats are available for sale. Going to be launching those on the website soon. We have a new manufacturer of our hats and stuff. So kind of hopefully they're all going to stay the same, but that'll be available. Like Facebook, Instagram, follow, all that fun stuff. Check us out next Thursday again. Smokin Tabacco Show. I think we're going on episode 5 now, so we're 5 episodes in. So we've made a good run at this, and gonna maybe explore as John does get busy and John won't be able to be with us. Gonna have a colorful collection of people from all sorts, other podcasters, influencers, industry people I know, maybe some owners, maybe some shop owners, some brand owners. I know a lot of people. You know a ton of people as well. So
I'll even if I'm not here, I'll be helping you out. We'll be helping you out. I've enjoyed this time, and it's been great. And I said since we got plenty more of it ahead of us. But yeah, well, let's said anything we can do to. You're a true cigar lover and a good ambassador on a consumer level and here on a media level, what you're growing into. So anything I can do to help is we'll help you with it.
Well, I appreciate that. You've been a good friend, and this has been a blast to do with you. So I'm excited to see how it grows. So that's all I've got. And unless you got anything,
We'll see you on Quarantine Grilling on Monday. Smokintabacco.com. Always available. This will be up on YouTube here in the next day or so.
Yep.
Yeah, jump on there. Appreciate everyone listening and jumping in, even if you weren't here for the entire time. The moments that you gave us, we appreciate it. So that's it for me this week. That's all I got. It's my final. That's my final argument in the Smokin Tabacco courtroom.
And don't forget to check me out with my fellow castmates and Aaron on the Ash Holes Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern on Facebook. And other than that, we'll see you next week.